Number 8. Weston's dip recipe calls for 1.5 can of beans. How many times can he make the recipe if he has 3 cans of beans to use? Okay, so I have to stop and think about this. What's happening in the story? Let me read that again. Weston's dip recipe calls for 1/2 can of beans. How many times can he make the recipe if he has 3 cans of beans to use? Okay, so we're wanting to know how many times he can make the recipe and if he has 3 cans. And since we have Weston doing something in this story, I'm definitely going to make a window pane to organize my thoughts. So if I go back to my question, we want to know how many times can he make the recipe. So we can say he can make it blank times. And what is it that he has? Well, I'm going to start with what he has. He has 3 cans. 1, 2, 3. And every time he has a half, because the recipe calls for a half, he can make the recipe. So I'm going to go back to my picture and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it here, here, and here. So this would be a half, this would be a half, 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 and half. So how many times is that? How many halves do we have? Well, it looks to me like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I ought to be able to get my answer by looking at my picture. Now, what action is this? So we have to go back to our fraction book and we have to think about, well, what is happening here? Are we putting together a bunch of pieces? I would say no, we're not putting together a bunch of pieces. Are we taking part of a whole set? I would say no, we're not taking half of a whole set. Are we taking the 3 cans and then cutting them into 1/2 pieces to find out how many halves there are? That kind of sounds like what we're doing. So we're separating into equal sets. So what we're doing is we're separating into equal sets, and separating into equal sets is division. So boys and girls, I want you to think about, what is it that you started with first? Did you start with the half of a can, or did we draw the 3 cans? That's right. We drew 3 cans first. What did we do with the 3 cans? The minute I cut them, I divided them. How did I divide them? Well, I divided them into 1/2 pieces. So what is that going to give me for an answer? Well, I should be able to count the pieces and find my answer easily.